I, 32, have a son, 6, who has allergies. One of these allergies is food-based, so I'm very careful when preparing his meals. His allergies are moderate, so I don't need an EpiPen, but I still carry one just to be sure. The reason I'm mentioning this will come up soon. My sister, 38, has 3 kids of her own who were blessed with no allergies, so they can eat whatever they like. Her oldest, 13, had a birthday party not long ago, but I had a work-related appointment, so I dropped my son off so he could attend. My sister is well aware of his allergies, and I asked if she would be serving food that was okay for him to eat. She assured me all was well, but I now know it wasn't. When I returned to pick him up, he was covered in a rash and crying. I immediately recognized it as his allergy acting up and called my sister to the side. I asked if his food had been cross-contaminated, but she straight out told me she directly gave him what he was allergic to. I nearly flipped out and had to go outside to calm down. She defended her actions by saying I was babying him and that he needed to learn to grow out of his allergy. She continued by saying she gave her boys everything, so that's why they were stronger and healthier than my son. I admit I screamed at her after that and said some things I'm not proud of, but she angrily told me that it was her son's birthday and it wasn't right that my son was getting special food from everyone else. I pointed out that his allergies are nothing for him to feel special about, and she countered by saying that if I'm so bothered by his itching, I should give him the EpiPen so it could stop. I immediately left in my car, and when I looked back and saw that my son had cut himself all over from scratching, I cried. She called me in the middle of the night and angrily demanded that I apologize to her and her son for ruining his party, but I hung up. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Food allergies are 100% unpredictable. Just because he's only breaking out in hives now, doesn't mean his throat couldn't close the next time he ingests an allergen. Bottom line, your son could have died. Absolutely not the idiot. And you wouldn't be at all out of line if you avoided spending time with your sister for a while. For your son's safety, he should only spend time with people who will respect his allergies. This is a good time to go scorched earth, whether you choose to pursue legal charges, or publicly shame her, or both. I'll leave to your discretion. No matter what, document what happened, make sure people know what she did, and don't paint it in her words or logic. She knowingly gave your son something he was allergic to. Not the idiot. I cannot for the life of me figure out people who think this way. If it were me and my child, I'd keep a good safe distance from this dangerous person for a good, long time. She's delusional about allergies, and clearly might do it again. I'm not a believer in no contact most of the time, even though it's been an effort of years to reconnect with some of my own family, but in your case, when it's life-threatening, do what you have to do to keep your son safe. I have 3 kids. A 15-year-old son and 8-year-old twin daughters. They all get along well, and my son loves his sisters and vice versa. Sometimes my husband and I have to go to certain events, and I ask my son if he can watch his sisters for the night. He usually says yes unless he has plans. I just ask my mom then. So on Friday night we had an event to go to, and I again asked my son if he'd be willing to babysit. He said sure, and that was it. We came back at around midnight, and I went to check on the kids, and my son was fast asleep while one of the twins was puking her guts out and the other one was crying. I was surprised, but I also didn't really blame my son in any way. They weren't really making any noise and were clearly asleep before all hell broke loose. Well, I managed to calm my girls down, and they end up telling me how their big brother was really mean and grumpy all day, and when they asked for food he gave them a jar of peanut butter. The twins cannot have peanut butter. They aren't allergic, but it makes them ill. The girls know as well, but they were hungry and he said they had to eat it. My son knows this, and the peanut butter is kept out of the twins' sight and reach and is literally only in the house for him. I woke him up the next morning and asked him if all this was true. He just made a noise and was all like the little snitches. Yeah, so they had a little peanut butter, what's the big deal? I told him that he knows they can't have it, and not only that, but I also don't like how they described his attitude. Especially when he told them they had to eat it. He just told me to stop overthinking. He forgot peanut butter makes them that sick. He only said they had to eat it because he didn't want them going hungry. He didn't feel like ordering, cooking, or warming up leftovers either, and also the twins were being annoying. I told him that these excuses are not good enough and that what he did was honestly kind of cruel. I told him that I don't know if I can trust him with the girls anymore as well. He just rolled his eyes and told me that I'm being really freaking dramatic and that the twins will be fine. I don't need to act like this. He's really upset with me, and every time me or his dad say anything, he'll just reply with, "Oh, I thought I was cruel?" I thought you couldn't trust me? He's not budging and he's not normally like this, so I'm wondering, am I the idiot? My sister told me to post on here since I'm so conflicted. Didn't think it would hurt. Not the idiot. He needs a therapist. Cruelty without remorse isn't normal. Possible guesses: he's been through a recent trauma, he has a new addiction, video games, or meds, or alcohol, or insert your fave here. For example, he has executive dysfunction, i.e. his brain wouldn't let him make/order food, and is lying to cover up for it. That last one's a little out there, granted, but I mention it just in case. When we were 8 years old, we could just make our own sandwiches. Your daughters knew they couldn't eat it? Your son knows they can't eat it. Everyone's the idiot here in this situation. They are 8? They can surely butter some bread and get cheese or a bagel, or heat up beans themselves in a microwave. Toast, cheese, crackers, fruit, crisps, ice cream, chocolate. Isn't that what any 8-year-old kid would do? What kind of people intentionally eat food they know that will make them sick? Not the idiot, and I don't agree with the typical teenager. If that was the case, he would have told the twins to figure out their own dinner, etc. Not purposely, and somewhat forcefully, give them something that would make them sick. He's a manipulator and a liar, and the very least. Please get him help, and 100% do not let him care for them again. I, 26, live in a condo-style complex. A lot of people have suffered due to a global event, and people in this condo have gone out of their way to help those less fortunate, myself included. My neighbor and her husband both had their income reduced. She was laid off and he got reduced hours. When they asked to borrow my Wi-Fi password, I also gave them all my online streaming passwords to be kind, as she wouldn't be doing much else besides looking for a new job and do some housework. That was over 2 years ago now. I don't interact with them or other neighbors in a day-to-day, as I work a lot and I'm a private person. Last Thursday, when I tried to log on, I saw that attempts had been made to change my streaming and Wi-Fi password, and I spent hours on customer service line to get it fixed. This system locks you out after 3 attempts of changing a password when it detects you are not the admin on your account. I got new ones. Saturday morning, I was woken by what I thought was someone kicking my door in. With a bat in my hand, I checked through the spy hole, and it was my neighbor and her husband. They were angry that I had kicked them off the network. Their son had taken an online exam, but the school had informed them that it hadn't been registered, as while he was doing the exam I had changed the password and he hadn't noticed. He got incomplete grade and has to redo these 3 months and another exam in the summer. I told them I was unaware that they were on my network still, as she has since gotten a part-time job. Therefore didn't feel the need to check with them to make changes to my accounts after a hacking attempt. To this, her husband said, "You numpty, we tried to change the password. You are away 5 to 6 days a week working," and his wife wanted to give online streaming passwords to her new coworkers, and there can only be 2 guests on my accounts, so they could discuss her fave shows. They expect me to pay for their son's resit exams and summer schooling. Am I the idiot for not checking first with them, as I knew they were using my network 2 years ago? Oh hell no. Have they lost their minds? This is 1000% inappropriate, and they are acting beyond entitled. You did them a kindness and they attempted to just hand out your passwords to other people? Not okay. You're not the idiot, and you absolutely should not have to pay for their son. They can use all the money they've saved up on streaming services for the last 2 years. Not the idiot, oh my. You do not owe them anything. They tried to change accounts that you pay for. So what if you are away? What if you are away and wanted to watch your shows and could not, because there were already other devices using it? And for future reference, you assumed they got their own account, but we check our accounts frequently to see who is using it or what devices are being used. You should try that, because sometimes hackers do get in. They decided to mess around and change passwords on your accounts. They found out that you reasonably took it as a hacking attempt and changed all passwords ASAP. They got greedy and suffered the consequences of their actions. Did no one notice the kid wasn't connected to the internet during the exam? Did no one have a cell phone to use as a hotspot to finish the exam? I've had to do that a couple of times during power outages during work/school from home time for my family. I, 26, have been dating my girlfriend, 24, for almost a year. I have been vegetarian for 2 years, while my girlfriend doesn't eat many things, because she finds them disgusting. Just the smell of certain things, often vegetables, to my detriment, can make her throw up. I haven't talked to her much about vegetarianism because I know she's not a big fan of it, which is fine. Until the last time we were at McDonald's together. She ate a lot of her meals there because she likes almost all of it. She's more into sugary things and fast food. I bought a veggie burger and fries while she treated herself to a 20-pack of chicken nuggets. The afternoon was going well overall until she suddenly started making fun of me. She laughed about how it would be weird to eat here as a vegetarian and that I must hate the veggie burger and only eat it because there is nothing else for me. I was slightly irritated by this because she has never said anything about the subject before, and because of this I stamped the statement as a joke. Throughout the meal she made odd comments until suddenly she said in a mocking tone, "At least I don't eat grass." I laughed at that and amusedly responded with, "But at least I don't eat shredded chicks." She then stared at me in shock and then looked at her food and asked me what I meant. Confused, I explained to her that chicken nuggets from fast food restaurants are usually just chicks that have been thrown into the shredder. Upon my explanation, she choked briefly and I was about to ask her if everything was okay until she suddenly threw up on the table. The staff rushed to her, but she had already started crying and ashamedly sank into the bench she was sitting on. I tried to de-escalate the situation and told her I didn't mean it, whereupon she stormed out of the McDonald's. I apologized to the staff for the trouble and hurried after her. Unfortunately for me, she was already gone with our car, so I called a cab. We live in a rather remote house. I inherited this house from my grandmother and suggested my girlfriend move in with me as I often only had the opportunity to visit her on weekends. I waited for her to open the door, which she did only after the cab driver drove away. Then she didn't even look me in the eyes before she went back into the bedroom. I ran after her and saw that she was packing a bag, whereupon I asked her what she was up to. She burst into tears again and reproached me for saying something like that when I knew what it would do to her and that I would know what it meant to her. I did not answer because she was already crying and let the matter take its course. Before she went out the door she told me that she was going to spend some time with her mother. It has been 4 hours since this happened and I don't know who to talk to about it. I am desperate. So, am I the idiot? You are the idiot, and you clearly know nothing at all about food preparation factories. Sure, a lot of the meat is mechanically separated, and maybe it's not the best quality meat for some things, but dude, they don't shred chicks at all. What the hell? There's no meat on a chick to even bother with shredding it. In this example, McDonald's is 100% chicken breast meat in their nuggets, regardless of how it's processed. Get your facts straight before you start spouting nonsense. You ruined her meal, and possibly everyone else's in the restaurant when she vomited. I respect your vegetarian choice. More bacon for me. But you are the idiot. Assuming this is real, your GF has a serious eating disorder and you decided to ruin one of the few things she actually will eat. The right thing to do here would have been to call her out on her disrespectful attitude without going on the offensive yourself. Honestly, this post reads more like a vegetarian gotcha story, but the judgment's the same either way. None of this would have happened if she didn't start teasing and mocking you. If this is the first time this happened, then there must be an underlying issue. But either way, vomiting because you hear something disgusting? I believe she should see a doctor, and not only a gastro specialist, higher up. Imagine one day you will have kids. How will you two feed them and cook for them? Diapers smell awful, too. For some reason everyone who takes the corner at my house to go down the alley likes to drive over my lawn. My wife, myself and both my kids all drive. We make the corner in everything from an old sedan to a welding truck with dual rear tires. I've tried everything from a traffic cone to planting flowers there. Everything gets run over. I do not want to damage anyone's car. So I didn't put little rocks there that could rip out the undercarriage of a vehicle. I had my bill bring over a massive boulder. It is about 3 feet tall. I also planted flowers around it. Just Gerber daisies. I was not trying to camouflage the rock, I was trying to make it more visible. The rock sits back almost 2 feet from the edge of my property. One of my neighbors managed to hit the rock anyways. Destroyed the left side of his car. He is mad at me and he said he is calling the cops on me for setting it up to damage cars. I laughed at him because I checked with law enforcement before I put the landscaping in. I could have built a brick wall at that corner and not be responsible if anything happens. But I didn't want to create a blind corner. Now there is a big fight going on in my neighborhood Facebook page between the people who used to cut that corner and everyone who says that it's my property. My wife says I should take the rock away. Great, except she was mad at me and them when her garden got run over. My neighbor says I'm an idiot for damaging his car. I don't think I did anything wrong. Am I the idiot? If he does countersue, for trespassing and damaging private property. I don't think his insurance would fight this one. He drove at least 2 feet over private property, going fast enough to not be able to stop in time to destroy his car. I hope you called the police and have a police report and pictures. If you want to be really petty, you can put a sign in front of the boulder that says boulder ahead. Not the idiot. Ask your neighbor if he expects you to pay for his new glasses because he clearly can't see. If he's such a terrible driver that he can't avoid a giant rock surrounded by some of the brightest and most cheerful flowers, he needs to stop driving, especially anywhere near your family and property. Tell your wife that just because people are currently mad doesn't mean you guys are in the wrong. They'll figure it out and find a new thing to whine about soon. Ask your neighbors why they're so bad at driving that a giant rock is threatening to them. It's your property, you can landscape it however you want. And it's a neat solution to a problem. Might want to add some reflectors on it for extra visibility. If they continue to complain, you can add a wall or concrete pylons on the edge of your property. It's just like when the city adds a new traffic signal or sign. It takes some adjusting, but everyone gets used to it after a while.